Hi, I'm Tracy L. Fisher, and this is Community Talk. And I'm here with State Rep W. Curtis Thomas. How are you?
Good, good.
Listen, how long have you been a state rep? And what district?
Well, my district is 181st Legislative District, which is communities of North Philadelphia, Northern Liberties, Fishtown, Kensington, Fair Hill, and other parts of North Philadelphia.
Oh, Northern Liberty.
Northern
I
Liberties.
used to box down there when I was a kid, 4th and Girard, or Fairmount rather, around there, the
Right.
gym, Northern Liberty gym down there.
Right.
I used to go down there. What is it that you bring to the community?
Well, these last couple of years I've been real concerned about a couple things, and what kind of caught me. President Obama made an appointment to the United States Supreme Court, Elena Kagan.
Okay.
Justice Elena Kagan issued her first majority opinion. And her majority opinion declared laws in Pennsylvania and some other states that had young people behind bars for the rest of their natural life. And in Pennsylvania has more children behind bars for the rest of their natural life than anywhere else in the world. And like Justice Elena Kagan, we believe that young people, like adults, should be punished for certain behavior and for the commission of certain crimes. But the question that Elena Kagan raised was, when you look at all the breadth and width of resources that we have in America, how can we reach a point where we say that we can't do nothing with a 14-year-old other than to put them away for the rest of their natural life? That there's got to be something that can be done. And when she raised that question, the question that came up for me, and that is, these young people are not isolated. They're tied to some families, whether they be good, better, or worse. They're tied to families. And so for the last year and a half, I've been on this mission to do all that I can, through collaboration and conjunction with other folk across the city and state, to find ways that we can strengthen our families and thereby put our young people on better tracks. And as I mentioned to you, there's some information out there now on the behavior of young people as it relates to zip codes. And here in Southwest Philadelphia, there's a zip code that shows an automatic path from home to prison, as opposed to young people in other zip code areas. And so to that end, in North Philadelphia, well, I reached out to Senator Greenleaf because with his sentencing reform bills that were signed into law, he's very much concerned about what's happening to young people and families. And so at the urging of the Honorable Judge Doris Ribner Smith, she put us together and put us together to look at ways in which we could use our skills and our experiences to try to do something about what's happening to young people. And so Senator Greenleaf and I have formed a bipartisan, Republican, Democrat, Independent, bipartisan caucus that is entitled At-Risk Children, Families, and Communities. And the purpose of the At-Risk Caucus is to look at the best practices across the city, across the state, and across the country, and ways in which we can begin to improve the lives of families and thereby help some of these young people. And so last year we went through a period of looking at what we call in Pennsylvania evidence-based models. that has demonstrated good results around truancy, violence, and helping young people and families feel better about themselves. So I got an invitation to come to the bullying workshop today because for me, in the past, we've been kind of territorial about what we were doing. If I'm doing something good in North Philadelphia, you keep it in North Philadelphia. If it's in West Philly, you keep it in West Philly. But when you look at the number of young people and families that are in trouble, we got to do away with our territorial barriers and look at ways in which or how we can collaborate, communicate, and cooperate in dealing with this issue.
And you were speaking about how back in the day it was territorial about bringing a program that was successful in North Philly here to South Philly or West Philly or Southwest Philly. My question to you is, being the founder of Gateway to Reentry, and I'm also involved in the prevention with the youth from going back to jail, how can Gateway to Reentry partner up with your corporation to make it work here in Southwest?
Okay, number one, I don't have a corporation. I'm on a policy mission to look at some successful evidence-based models to deal with reentry and a number of other issues. But let's talk about reentry for a minute. I think Gateway to Reentry, the title in and of itself is progressive. And I saw a few of the services that you provided. But there's a couple areas that I think that we need to examine from the question of intervention and prevention. Number one, we have no more emancipated minors in Pennsylvania. You know, at one time, if you were 16 years of age, 17 years of age, fell out with family, went to jail, came back, you could get a check and kind of get a place and kind of get yourself straightened out. We don't have that. That is no longer a reality. And so any young person that is 16, 18 and under, if they need financial support to keep them from going out there doing bad stuff, you need an adult. You need an adult that is acceptable to the department in order for them to get some financial help. So the other thing is there's some legal barriers that need to be dealt with. Secondly, if you ever committed a felony in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, your only path to becoming whole is through a governor's pardon. And that pardon process is a difficult one because there's 5 people that make up the pardon board. You have to file an application, and then 3 of those 5 people have to agree to do an interview and as a follow-up to the application. But here's the policy problem that I think we need to deal with. The pardon board is about 5-6 years behind in case disposition. And different governors have different feelings about that. But we need to either do a constitutional amendment in Pennsylvania to expand that whole pardon process so that we can expedite it and we can, help get some of these people back to a position of being able to do something. Or in the alternative, the community needs to push the lieutenant governor, which the lieutenant governor is now somebody from Philadelphia County, Michael Stack, who sits as the chair of the pardon board, which should be progressive for organizations like Gateway, and should push on the lieutenant governor and the governor about some regulatory changes, because if we can't get at a constitutional amendment to reorganize the way we deal with these situations in Pennsylvania, then the only other avenue is one, to put some more money out there and hire more folk working for the pardon board, and look for some regulatory changes which speed up, because the board only meets, I think, every quarter. Maybe they need to meet each month. They need to have some goals for disposing of X amount of cases each year. Because a lot of these young people know they'll end up going back to jail or go to jail because of a bad record. And as you know, in Pennsylvania, juvenile records are no longer sealed. So all that information is out there. And I guess the last thing that I think that organizations like Gateway should begin to take a look at, and that is what we call entrepreneurial opportunities, showing young people how to develop their own businesses and become successful at those businesses. And you know, as I said to a couple of young people in Northern Liberties, in Northern Liberties, people spend a lot of money on their dogs and their pets. And they sometimes will spend as much money on their pets as they spend on their kids. It doesn't take a whole lot of training to take care of pets, whether either night care, day care, weekend care, or just taking care of them. That's a business opportunity. Go into pet care in the right community, do the right kind of marketing, and young people can start a business. Or shredding. You know, I know in Dauphin County and in other counties, they have contracts with blocks, so that the third Saturday of every month, somebody with a big van that has an industrial shredder in the back come along in that block, and everybody in that block know that they bring their stuff out and you will shred it. It doesn't take a whole lot to do that. And so I think that this entrepreneurial conversation has to become a part of the reentry paradigm.
I agree.
And I think the state government and local government should look at ways of providing some startup capital to help get some of these small business opportunities off the ground, with an understanding that they're going to be mature adult folk like yourself. That's going to be a sponsor, and is going to provide oversight until it's able to stand on
And
its
you
own.
are 100% right, because I am living proof that, and I spoke with the deputy mayor about this, and he agreed with me after I explained it to him, where sometimes we get caught up, the government get caught up in funding, meaning they will fund whom they've been funding for quite some years. And although the people that they're funding, when the money is allocated to the city, is already up and running, because they're comfortable with funding them, they miss the other up and coming programs that's holding together with duct tape and bubble gum, but it's doing an excellent job to get it done. And that's where gentlemen such as yourself comes into play, to actually be the spokesperson for that type of conversation. When you can come and see a program that's up and running and people in the community believes in the program, but the government don't know about the program because the people they allocate the money to is not funneling it down to those that actually need the funding. So if you're receiving $3.2 million to run a program, and here's a program that don't receive 10 cents, but they're neck and neck with you, or even better, because of the people that's working for them, it's not working for a paycheck, they're working for the mission to get it done. So what type of evidence would you be looking for in a program to see that it would be getting funded?
History, outcomes, whether or not the program has capacity to address the underlying problems. If part of the reentry or prevention is to give young people another way to raise money without out there selling drugs or stealing and robbing, okay? So evidence-based programs are programs where there is factual data to support that historical investment in this kind of program works, or show that a certain program has been able to achieve certain outcomes. Okay,
Okay.
like a good example that we would want to take a look at. Okay, if one is a legal entity, a legitimate legal entity that has the capacity to deliver on what it is that you say that you're going to do.
Right.
And is there any capitalization? Now, capitalization, I know if an organization been doing it on shoestring and bubble gum, right, they ain't got no money, okay? Well, what about the sweat equity? What about the capacity of your skills?
Exactly.
Okay? Because if I'm a lawyer and I'm an attorney with this board of directors or with this corporation, right? In the open market, my skill as an attorney can be $500 to $700 an hour. Okay, that has value. So sometimes you might not see the liquid on the table, but when you look at the talent around the table, there is capacity. Okay, and so those are the kinds of things that we're talking about when we talk about evidence-based programs.
That's a great answer right there, and I appreciate that. And I also want to thank you for coming. Do you have any information that you give out, your website or number, something like that, to be contacted?
Well, let me first say we have a group of people that meet every Thursday at 1 o'clock at the Rodriguez Library at 6 and Girard Avenue, and they meet under something called Communities That Care. It's run by young people under 30 years of age who is constantly collaborating and working with other people to find best practices for one, dealing with violence, dealing with families that are struggling, resources for families that are struggling, and also to drive the whole policy conversation. So every Thursday at 1 o'clock, Rodriguez Library, North Philadelphia Communities That Care. My office is located at 1415 North Broad Street. Telephone number is 215-560-3261. You can email me at cthomas@pahouse.net, or you can join me on Thursdays at 1 o'clock at Rodriguez Library at 6 and Girard.
Okay, thank you. And I'm Tracey L. Fisher, and this is Community Talks.